Um, a very good evening to everyone, and good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're joining from. And thanks for taking time to join in today's LikeMinds webinar. LikeMinds is an African professional network in the diaspora, get towards providing career and manpower development through shared and collective experiences. We are delighted to welcome you to today's webinar on cybersecurity awareness and career opportunities in today's digital world. We recognize the critical and importance of cybersecurity in our everyday lives. Our reliance on technology for both personal and professional activities continues to grow, making protection of our data of vital importance. Today's webinar, we shall delve into the digital trends, challenges, and best practices in safeguarding our digital environment against ever-changing threats, from phishing attacks to ransomware. Understanding of these dangers and knowing how to mitigate them is essential for individuals and organizations alike. We shall also explore career opportunities in the field of cybersecurity, as the demand for skilled professionals in this field is actually skyrocketing. Whether you're a student considering a career in cybersecurity, or you're a professional looking for transition into the sector, or simply someone interested in enhancing your knowledge, this session will provide some valuable insight and guidance for you. Thank you for joining us today. And we hope that this webinar will be informative and engaging and a catalyst for your journey in cybersecurity world. At the end of the webinar, you have a session to have Q&A. About 15 minutes, you're going to have some Q&A sessions. And so without any further ado, let's make welcome Mr. Dean Charlton. He's currently the managing consultant for and also the head of cybersecurity recruitment in the UK for Scott and May. So Dean, over to you.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Thank you for your time. Thanks for joining. Thanks, John, for the intro. As John mentioned, I head up the cybersecurity recruitment here at Scott and May, one of the largest providers for cybersecurity across the UK and Europe. Hopefully we can give you some insight, certainly some pointers following today's webinar of kind of how to get into the industry, some things that we've perhaps not kind of focused on before, and a little bit more detail. So what I'll do, I'll quickly share my screen. We'll go through a couple of slides, and as John mentioned, we will kind of run through these details. We've got a Q&A at the end. But certainly in the chat, feel free to start putting questions as we run through. So in case there's anything that we miss towards the end, and we'll try and cover as much as possible. So let me just share my screen on here. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everybody can see this on that side. So make sure that all works.
Yeah, it's working.
So yeah, excellent. So as John mentioned, so we're unlocking your future within cybersecurity, and that's through awareness and career opportunities. And that's what we're here to discuss in a little bit more detail today. So in regards to myself, to give you a bit of background, as mentioned, I head up the cybersecurity recruitment side for the UK and for Europe. I work with a lot of industry insights with larger consultancies, growing startups, and have done for over the last 6 years. So extensive background helping people like yourselves getting into the industry, those who are kind of mid-tier to senior tier, all the way through within the cybersecurity range. We're working closely at the moment with ASACA. Some of you may know who ASACA is on the governing board for security, IASME, which are now part of the NCSC and the government institutions within cybersecurity. And we've been talking with the government regulators as well within the UK to try and boost basically those looking to get into the cybersecurity industry across the UK itself. A little fun fact I put there as well. Some of you may kind of be familiar with William Shakespeare. I'm actually his 14th great grandnephew. So there's a little bit of an insight for you. So I'm used to talking to large crowds. It's in my DNA, so to speak. A little bit of insight there for you. So So let's move on. So cybersecurity awareness. So what cybersecurity is, why we should be talking about it, what the impact is across business, the impact globally. Be it that you're in a company, individual, along those lines. And this is just some screenshots of kind of what the industry talks about when we talk about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity isn't just technical. So some of you may be sitting here going, well, I'm not a developer, or I don't know the technical ins and outs. That's not a problem. Not all cybersecurity sits under the technical realm. When we talk about incident response, when we talk about physical pen testing, when we talk about security operations, we're not talking the technical aspects here. We're talking about awareness, ability to understand and look for threats, and work with industries and learn on the job as we go. So it's always really key that I say to those who are looking to get into the industry or transferable skills, perhaps from an IT background, is that it doesn't always have to be technical. What we've done is that we mentioned on there, there's numerous cases. You can see ransomware, protection, phishing, security, networks, attack, hardware, spyware. You'll see this now. It's more commonplace within the environment that we see. More people are cyber aware than they ever have been. More companies are cyber aware than they've ever been. So we're moving into transition within a market that is going to be, if not already, very cyber focused. I don't think there's any businesses out there at the moment that we certainly work with that haven't got some form of security process in place. So what does that mean in regards to getting into the industry? Well, actually, as an individual looking to be cyber aware, there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of resource. There's a lot of free information that you can go after, free courses, YouTube videos, talking with people, interacting within the industry that you can do all for free, that gives you more awareness of what the industry is about, that gives you the understanding of what companies are looking for, and that talks about cybersecurity, why it's important within certain businesses. Career opportunities in cybersecurity. So I get asked a lot, as you can imagine. I'm looking to get into cyber, and I go, brilliant. The first question I'm going to ask you is what? Where do you want to go? Cybersecurity is a very broad prospective title. It's very overview. It's like someone saying, hey, yeah, I want to go walking. Brilliant. Well, where do you want to go walking? Well, I haven't thought about it. It is as broad as you can be. So there's a couple of key areas that you can look into. And we look at cyber operations for non-technical. But if we look at cyber analysts, cyber engineers, architects, SOC, so Security Operations Center, incident response and pen testing, these are common titles that we find within cybersecurity. Within the industry, within the UK predominantly at the moment, this is where we're seeing the bulk of cybersecurity positions becoming available. And normally, and it's not always the way, most people would go as a cybersecurity analyst. They would build their skill set, work within normally a consultancy, because you get a variety of skill set. Off the back of that, then start moving into an engineering architecture role, and then going into a specialist field. Doesn't mean you have to, by all means, but we see the transition of that's where most people sit. Now, if you've got transferable skills, for example, from the IT environment, or you've worked within forms of operations within a large organization, then there's going to be transferable skills within there. You may, work as an operations manager within a software company, for example. You may then want to move into more of the incident response element and taking some of the skills that you already have. So by all means, there isn't a clear defined structure and a clear defined route into cybersecurity positions. It's all depending on your skill set, your attitude, your focus, and let's be honest, what you really want to do yourself. So, certainly just be aware that cybersecurity is all about what angle you want to go down as opposed to what's out there in the market. Skills and qualifications then to pursue within cybersecurity. I'm pretty sure everybody on this webinar has either looked or focused or maybe even completed some cybersecurity skills training frameworks, gone after some qualifications and gone, well, look, if I'm getting into the industry, where do I start? These are just some of the key ones that we see within cybersecurity. So CISP, CompTIA Security Plus, which is normally an entry route, CISM, BEH, if you're looking at pen testing. We look at master's degrees, we look at standard degrees, we look at IC squared as well, of different opportunities to build your skill set and learn the industry. really go after it, really focus in on it, and then say, well, actually, I really enjoyed this particular part of my learning part, within cyber. That's what I want to focus on. My caveat is you do not need these certifications to get into cybersecurity. It will benefit you and it will certainly put you above a lot of people in the market. But you, for example, if you're looking to get into cybersecurity, TISP, which you'll see in a lot of job descriptions, I'm going to give you a hint, that's nearly £10,000. You don't want to do it straight away. For one thing, it will be a massive steep learning curve. But secondly, the cost. And thirdly, you need the qualification hours within a business and a role in order to actually utilize that within your role. So don't look at the big qualifications. Don't be tempted by a lot of organizations that will push them on you and they'll say, hey, yeah, look, you want to get into cyber, you need to do this, you need to do that. That's not the case at all. Do the ones that you feel comfortable with. The ISC squared, which we'll see just at the very bottom there, at the moment for the next 2 months, the entry level certification, and it will be certified within cybersecurity, is actually free. So go to the website. If you type in ISC 2, as you can see there, go and register, go and do the free qualification. It is your starting block within cybersecurity and it is free. So that is a great place to start. And again, it's a recognized certification. It's something that you can put on your profile. It's something you can put on your CV. It's something you can talk about and it will give you the foundation of skill set within cybersecurity. Again, cybersecurity qualifications are all based around what you want to do and what you want to focus on. Personally, I would say the CompTIA Security Plus is a great one to look at. It's not too expensive. Shop around for different vendors. Everybody sells it. There's loads out there. People say to me, well, who should I use? It's entirely up to you. We don't work with any individual companies. We don't promote it in that sense, but it's entirely up to you what you focus in on. But I believe, having seen it, having spoken to companies, knowing the CompTIA business, it's a great one to get started. Again, CEH, for example, is specialist within pen testing, brilliant. But go in, look at junior pen test level positions that don't require it. Get that business in your, when you're first foot in the door, to sponsor you to do it. Get them to pay for it. Brilliant. A bit of commitment either side. And again, if you've got master's degrees or standard degrees within cybersecurity, it's a great starting block. But if you haven't and you haven't been there, you've not looked into it, do not feel threatened that you have to do it. They do not go down the route of saying, hey, I spent £20,000 on these certifications, because at the early stages, not going to help you. Further down the line, absolutely, but not at this particular stage and point in time. Just look at industry trends and emerging threats and the regulatory compliance that focuses in on cybersecurity. So I'm sure you all see, and we see it in the media now, there's a lot of regulatory compliance around cybersecurity and a lot of frameworks that we're governed by. So the most common ones are NIST, MITRE-ATT framework. We've got most recently NIST 2. That's the current government framework that most organizations are focusing in on at the moment. PCI compliance sits within financial regulatory sides, so banking, fintech, Web3, so we're looking at blockchain, which are key areas and really good focus areas to go after and get into for your first cybersecurity role. We've got Jura, which is coming up next year, which is going to be a big focus for all companies. Start to look into it, start to do some research, because these are the qualifications, certifications, and challenges that companies are facing currently. If you're one step ahead and you can talk about it and you can do your own research, then you are one step ahead of where the market sits. Where the emerging market sits, everybody, I think, and I'm sure we all know, sitting here, AI is probably one of the biggest influences within what the next stage of cybersecurity looks like. I don't think it goes past a day or even an hour unless someone's talking about AI, be it in the media, online, or even in everyday business, or on the street that people are talking about. AI is going to be a massive influence in what we look at within security. If you haven't already, I'm sure most people know ChatGPT. We've got Google Gemini. We've got Copilot by Microsoft. These are tools that you can start utilizing now. Yeah, they're free. You don't have to sign up for the main one. So ChatGPT 3.5 is free. Do it on your browser, go and have a play with it. See what it's capable of doing, because these are the insights and these are the emerging trends within businesses that people are really worried about. But at the moment, people aren't doing much about. Yeah. So you could become a ChatGPT, a bit of expert within cybersecurity protocols, not know anything about programming, but ChatGPT and AI is doing it for you. And again, you're one step ahead of a lot of people within the industry already, because it's an emerging trend as opposed to the current state. Absolutely go after it. Look at it. There's plenty of resource on YouTube. There's plenty of resource on Google. Go out there, explore, connect with people within the AI world. Absolutely go after it, because it guaranteed next 5 years, if it not already, people have got AI on the tip of their tongues at every opportunity. The next one I've highlighted there is quantum. The quantum computing. Some of you may not have heard of quantum computing. Some of you may not be aware. Some of you may be really aware of what it is. Quantum computing, in essence, is probably somewhere between 5 to 10 years away from making a real impact into the security market. Going to change the way in which we think about security and computing. It's going to change the way in which we look at password protection and security as we know it. It's not the next generation of computing. It is a completely different form of computing for the future. But we are probably only 5 to 10 years away. Look at all the big companies out there. Look at government institutions. Look at the US, for example, investing billions into quantum computing metrics within cybersecurity. Get ahead of the trend. Absolutely get ahead of it. Go out there, look at it, see a couple of videos, start talking about it, start commenting on posts within LinkedIn. That's going to give you, again, a one-step advantage in regards to where the industry sits. And again, we say 5 to 10 years, we could see an acceleration, and that could just be 2 years down the line. So if you're looking to do certifications and qualifications now, by the time you finish those qualifications, it's going to be here and there. It's going to be in the current world. It's going to be something we need to be aware of. The biggest question, and I'm sure probably the question that most of you have at the tip of your tongue, how do I get into cybersecurity? I do a lot of webinars, I do a lot of talks. Everybody always comes up and says, well, how do I get into cybersecurity? And I was like, it's the golden question. You know, and if I had the perfect answer, I'd love to give it to you now. There is no easy way into cybersecurity. You will see all these posts, these adverts, these TikToks, these Instagrams, these marketing things that say, hey, get into cybersecurity, starting salary, £70,000. Yeah, brilliant. There's a skill shortage. Fantastic. So where are these roles then? They are there, but actually it's about how you adapt and how you go after them. Getting into cybersecurity is as much a mindset and a process as it is the technical and the certification side. And we'll go into a little bit of detail on the next slide, but just be aware that there is no singular way into cybersecurity. There is no one size fits all. There is no portal that allows you to get into it. I'm sure if you speak to cybersecurity professionals, they all have their own way. They talk about how they got into the business themselves, but there is no easy solution. I head up the recruitment. I talk to companies all the time, and it is always a push to say, hey, you're saying there's a skill shortage and I haven't got people. I'm saying there's a wealth of people out there looking to get into cyber. Come on, let's work out an arrangement here. It's still very not, misjointed. It's not working at the moment, and something we need to change in this country massively if we're looking at our next generation cyber professionals. I'll go through a few hints and tips that how you can start that journey. But again, there is no one size fits all when it comes to certainly this question. And I'm sure a lot of you in the Q&A will say, I want to get into the industry. How do I do it? So let's have a look at some solutions that will support you getting into that area. So one of the key things, if you haven't already, or if you're not within business, LinkedIn pretty much now is the key portal of getting into a role, getting into industries these days. Recruiters like myself and my business, as well as companies out there, predominantly use now LinkedIn as a main portal. So what I would applaud, if you haven't got a LinkedIn profile, go set one up. Not going to cost you anything. Don't be bamboozled into paying for the extras that they promote to you. Use LinkedIn, get yourself a profile. Now, recruiters generally these days are using LinkedIn as their main source tool for people. So you, as an individual that perhaps might not have cybersecurity skill set or background or even lots of company profiles, how do I get noticed? What can I do? Well, there's several things you can do. Firstly, there's options to list your skill set. And when we talked about skill set, we're not just talking technical, we're talking about behavioral, we're talking about insight, we're talking about managerial, supervisory skills. And this could come from a host of different backgrounds within different industries that you may have worked in already. To get all your skills on there, absolutely go for it. That, you know, you can add tons of skills, get your friends to certify you within those skills. It boosts your profile straight away. Projects. So some of you may have done, say, a degree or master's degree. Some of you may have even done some free courses or even paid courses already. There's plenty of companies out there. The bigger ones like Immersive Labs, you've got Cybery, you've got Cyber Ranges, you've got loads. Codemy, and Google do it, AWS do it. If you go on the internet, type in free cyber courses, there's lots out there. When you complete these courses, you're either going to get a certification, so you get a certificate, put that on your profile straight away, feature it at the top of your profile. You're going to get project work that normally is conclusive of how to get that certification. That's part of your experience. That's part of your education. Put it on your profile. Talk about it as if it was a job. You know, I worked on this project. This is what I did. This was my outcome, and this is what kind of came about. So look at your projects as if it were a job. Put it on your profile. Get it out there. Promote it. Qualifications. Any qualification you do, even if it's free, if it's a short qualification, it's a 20 question questionnaire, put it on there. Absolutely put it on there. We are in an industry where LinkedIn uses an algorithm to promote your profile to recruiters. The more you have on there, the higher the algorithm, the better you are on the search criteria. We're in a very competitive market, especially when you're getting into the industry straight away. So how do you do that? You've got to use the algorithm to your advantage. So all your qualifications, certifications, anything that you've got, put on there. Talk about it. Now, certainly make sure that you've done it, and that there is some form of evidence that you could provide. What you don't want to do is put certifications and go, hey, I've done this, and you haven't done it. Then we're in a different world. But yeah, anything that you've done, any free courses, put on your profile, have a look. Feel free to have a look at my profile on LinkedIn. If you look at my name, you'll see me. If you go to my certifications, I've done a few. They're all free ones. You'll see it's featured. Yeah, but it boosts your profile within that area. Connections. LinkedIn allows you, as a standard free user, to connect with 100 people per week. And that runs from Monday to Sunday. You need to be connecting with 100 people per week. And when we say connecting, what do we do? What do we say? Who do we connect with? There are very much a lot of focused cybersecurity professionals within each industry sector within LinkedIn. There are too many for me to list. It's very easy to search. A CISO, for example, is probably going to be your best bet. You can search off keywords, search, for example, hiring or entry-level cyber jobs. Put that within LinkedIn, look at who's on there, send a connection and be honest with them. I'm looking to get an industry. It'd be great to connect with you. All you got to do, copy and template with that template, send that out to 100 connections per week. You will boost your profile. LinkedIn, again, works on the algorithm. As soon as you get to more than 500 connections, all your profile will say is 500 plus. What that shows to any form of recruiter or to any form of a person in a company at a level that is recruiting is that you're proactively going and building your network in that space. That is very influential within cybersecurity itself. Again, there's no straightforward algorithm. There's no keywords. Feel free, go after it. Go along those lines. If you do 100 people per week, 52 weeks in a year, we do the math. Yeah, that's several thousand connections. Really easy to do. I timed it the other day. We sat down, we did 100 connections. It took us 2 minutes just to use a very simple template, copy paste. It took us 2 minutes to do 100 connections. Yeah. So it's only going to take you 5 days doing that in order to build your 500 plus connections. So if you're starting off, great. If you've got already loads of connections, fantastic. Still utilize that as a process. It's there to use 100 connections. Why would you? Just go on. Into the insights. So there are a lot of people and there are a lot of key talkers, and you'll find on LinkedIn, for example, or even on Google, or you can go on Spotify and look at some podcasts. There's a lot of key influencers within the business. Connect with them, talk to them, reach out, make those connections of the industry insight. What I would say is post comments and likes to these posts. So if someone's talking about, hey, I'm the CISO for this organization, and I really feel for people trying to get into the industry. It was a challenge when I did. Put a comment on there, put a like. When you comment and like on things, what it does, it boosts your profile, firstly. Secondly, it gets you more visibility with hiring managers. It gets you out within the market and people start to focusing on you and your profile. If you've got a good profile, you follow loads of people, you're mutually connected within that space, all of a sudden you're making an impact. It's surprising what you can do within a space of a month in order to do that and build your profile up. You can share articles, go on to Google. What's trending in cybersecurity? Use ChatGPT to write a little article for you. Post that article. Use that article and feature that on your profile. These are all very simple things to do that require very little impact. You don't have to write it. Get AI to write it for you. But again, it shows you as someone who's going above the norm, getting out there in the industry, making an impact, and getting your name known. And that is one of the key ways of getting into the business. Let's talk about CVs, because we still live in a world of CVs and how we structure it. You will hear a host of advice around CVs should be short, CVs should be fancy, CVs should be long, CVs should have a picture, CVs should have, there's loads of talk. I'm going to make it very, very simple for you. CVs need to be to the point, not be fancy, have the relevant information, and have as much information as you can provide. If that's 2 or 3 pages, not a problem. If it's 1 page, but it's relevant, then absolutely. Do not worry about fancy formatting, pictures, graphics. In fact, what you'll do is you'll put a lot of recruiters off. Recruiters like a very simple, plain text CV. So you might have a CV where you go, wow, it looks really nice. It's really jazzy. Crazily, that actually goes against you then rather for you. We use, a lot of companies these days use what they call an ATS system, an automated system that files CVs through. You making it all fancy, it will just get eradicated. It won't even view it. It's looking for keywords. So there's key areas that we can look at. If you are going for an entry-level cybersecurity analyst role, your profile needs to read entry-level, have at least the keywords cybersecurity, and have some form of analyst written in it. You may not have job experience in that area, but it needs to be within a bio of that's your focus. The key problem we have, a lot of people that are looking to get in the industry say, yeah, I really want to become a cybersecurity engineer. Brilliant. But I cannot read that anywhere on your profile. Yeah, I cannot see it anywhere. I can't see what you're looking to do. I can't see the focus. I can't see what you've done towards it, any form of qualification, any form of discussion, any form of project within that area. Instantly, with an automated system, you're going to get discounted before even a human sees it. Yeah, it's going to use an AI algorithm. It's going to get discounted before you even start. So if you think about the role that you want to apply for, think about the requirements. The easiest solution, and again, going back to AI, look at a job description that you're interested in, an entry-level one perhaps. Take the key requirements, paste it into an open AI tool like ChatGPT or Google Gemini. Ask the question, what does my profile need to have? What should my CV say? Take that, it will tell you, and it will tell you exactly what you need to put in your CV and put it in your CV. So use it, use the technology to your advantage, really go after it, take some of the key objectives. And again, we're not saying tell someone that you've been a cybersecurity analyst for 10 years when you haven't, but have it within your profile, because sometimes it's about being noticed, it's about going to the top of the level, and it's without being discounted by an automated system. I put down there, keep it simple. It's as simple as that. Keep your CV simple, to the point, and keep it relevant. In a nice way, people don't want to know about your hobbies these days. That's what you talk about at your interview. People don't want to know about roles that are completely irrelevant. So if you've been, I don't know, a shop assistant back 20 years ago, great, you have it as a job listing, but you don't need a list of what you did as a shop assistant. It's completely irrelevant. Yeah. The key skills you can put as a key skill metric, have that at the top of your profile, really highlight it. But again, don't waste valuable reading time within the CV if it is completely irrelevant information. Make sure it's specific to the point. If you've done a certification, put it to the top of your CV. If you've done a particular project recently whilst completing, say, for example, a degree within cybersecurity, put it on the top of your CV. Get your bio in there. I am going into cybersecurity. This is my focus. This is what I want to do. So we get to interview then. So we've got past the half stage. We've got past the entry. We've got past the automated systems. We've got past kind of the LinkedIn area. What do we do now? Interview preparation. All I can say to you is practice, practice, practice. Whether that is someone at home that you've got that you can practice with, whether that's talking to yourself in a mirror, recording it on your phone, all these simple key techniques are going to make you far more relaxed in the interview state. These days, the average CV is done remotely. It's done through a video platform such as Zoom or Teams. So you've got the advantage, have the information prepared. Make sure you do the research and apply that research. And when I say research, look into the company, look into the requirements, look into the regulatory side, look into the hiring manager and their background. How did they get into the industry? All these key objectives are going to give you an advantage at interview stage. Because if you go to interview and you go, oh yeah, brilliant, well, I don't really know, I'm trying to get into the business and I haven't got any experience, it doesn't sound great. If you turn around and say, hey, I've researched the company, this is what you do, this is the focus. By the way, I really like that the company is focused in on operations within security, mostly around incident response. I've looked into incident response. I think it's a key area that really focuses on my skill set that I really enjoy. So have a look, go in there, do a bit of research. It's very easy these days with the joys of the internet, but have it with you, have it next to you on the screen, have it next to your CV, talk through it. Be prepared is the simple part. Always, if you're using a recruiter and you're going to the recruiter, a good recruiter will always happily go through interview preparation with you, will give you the insight. And if they haven't, fight back and ask them. No, ask the question, hey, can you go through with the interview process? Can we run some scenarios? Recruiters will do that. They will always do that. They were always there to support you in order to make that happen. It includes entry level, even more so at entry level roles. If you're cross-referencing skills and you might have 20 years experience outside of cybersecurity, you know how to interview, but make sure it's relevant to the cyber industry. Talk about the current threat landscape. Talk about the current regulatory side. Talk about, we mentioned it there, NIST2, Jura, talk about ISO 27701. All these key objectives, again, will be, oh, okay, how do you know about that? What kind of research have you done? Appearance is everything still. People get, I think, kind of a little bit judged on the sense of, hey, it's a remote interview. I don't need to dress up, and I'll do it kind of in the downstairs kitchen area. Loads of stuff behind me, kids flying back and forth. Life gets in the way, I get it, but if you're going for an interview, quiet environment, clear background, make sure you've got you come across well, that you're smartly, your appearance is smart. These are still massive impacts within business these days. Make it relevant to the business. I think someone mentioned you wouldn't go to Google dressed in a full suit and tie. But we're not talking about Google here. We're talking about potential kind of industry areas that are still very much kind of focused in on presentation. So it might be teaching you to suck eggs for some of you, but it's still a key area and something that you should always address. The last key point on there is personality. Be yourself. And this is the key one that I would say to everybody. You've got to inject your personality into, for one thing, the tendency for wanting to get into cybersecurity, what you can bring to the business, but also your personality in fit to the team. You'll hear team fit quite a lot. That is something that is very influential. People forget to inject their personality into the interview stage. So do not forget who you are, what you're about, what you've achieved, and all those kind of key areas. It's a very simple one, always one to keep in the back of your mind. Talk about yourself. Now, an interview is as much talking about you as well as asking them about the role, them giving you information. And it's as much about you interviewing them as a business as they are interviewing you. So just bear that in mind, to have questions ready. If at the end of an interview, someone says, any questions? Have 2 or 3 prepared questions. If they've covered it in the interview, make sure you've got a couple of backup ones. It's very essential. those on average who don't ask any questions at the end generally do not get through to the next stage. So just bear that in mind. I think we're kind of time-wise, I think we're pretty much done, hopefully kind of running on time, just a few minutes to spare. So I suppose we'll kind of put that out for questions for everybody, and kind of any kind of thoughts or any summaries that anyone's got.
Yeah, thanks, Dean. I think that was very elaborate. You covered so many areas. I took some notes. I think it does resonate with me greatly. We will encourage people to put some questions. Feel free to put in the chat box. In the chat box, let's have some practical questions, things you're going through. We have some people here who are in cybersecurity space, or you might not be in cybersecurity, but you're in between jobs and you're going to learn some tips here. Feel free to write some questions in the chat, or if you're bold enough to ask the questions on the platform, yes, you could unmute yourself, then ask the questions. And let's rub minds and let's see how we can work together to be able to resolve any queries that you may have. So feel free to put your questions in the chat. Let me see if anything has come through. And
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
we could start addressing them. Someone, Greg said, does age matter in cybersecurity?
Yeah, great question. To be fair, no is the answer to that. I place people who are 18. I place people who are coming into their 70s. If you've got the skill and the mindset, age is irrespective. You know, you could be in your 50s looking to swap careers and get in cybersecurity. If you've got the current mindset, yeah, it's not a blocker.
Right. But the person should be too old anyway. I think so. I think that's the point. Anyway, but yes, you're still active. You're still, yeah, I don't think it should be a problem. Besides, I've seen people send CVs and they put their age on the CV. You don't do that. You know, that's like very archaic. You know, you don't do that. What I tell my people to do, never put in any information that will let people discriminate against you. Anything like age, country of origin,
Yep.
or anything that would indicate you're not, that will lead to any kind of a bias against you, try and avoid it on your CV. You know, try and avoid the way your CV was structured back home or where you came from, bring it in UK. It doesn't work that way. It has to be totally different. Right. Another question is it says, is it advisable to have personal websites put the links on projects done on your CV?
Yeah, I mean, look, great question. Really good question. A lot of people kind of ask this one as well. It does help because if you've done a lot of projects, it's a great one to highlight to. A lot of people have GitHub accounts, for example. We'll link through to there. Now, bear in mind the industry we work in, cybersecurity. A lot of cybersecurity advisors and senior people aren't going to click on a link they don't know. So there is a balance, I would say, with that, because you know, if someone says, "Hey, you're a senior cybersecurity professional, here, click on this link," the likelihood is they're not going to click on it. What I would say to you is give them options. Have the link within your CV, but give an overview of what that link refers to. You know, you can list your project titles and then say more information can be found on this link, rather than just the standard link itself. So I think there's a couple of options there for you.
Hmm. Well, Tolu is asking, how can a business analyst, non-technical, utilize their skills in cybersecurity?
Yeah, good one. And I guess, yeah, quite tricky in the sense of kind of what skill sets do you see as a business analyst? Now, yeah, I mean, a business analyst within cybersecurity, kind of a crossover, you go, okay, very misjointed to kind of where that sits. But think of organizational skills, working to tight time scales, working to objectives. Something that actually, if you look at more junior incident response roles or even SOC positions, it very much aligns to a BA skill set. Don't be afraid to talk about how you've led on projects or the focus or the roadmaps, normally within a BA role. Normally, the BAs that I've always worked with, business analysts, have always had a lot of project work, and that's great. That's about, you know, handling larger workloads. It's about, let's say, working to tight timescales. Those are probably the key skills that you could cross over and cross-reference. Yeah, quite tricky to say. Well, how does that align to cybersecurity? But again, ChatGPT. How do the business analysts, what skills does the business analyst have that works really well within cybersecurity? It will tell you. It will give you some answers.
Yeah, thanks for that. Another question from Aramide. He said, what advice do you have for someone who wants to focus on GRC? I'm not sure what that means
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, so GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, it's a big
Okay.
talk. It's a big thing within the industry at the moment. So yeah, I suppose if you someone who wants to focus in on GRC, again, it's regulatory compliance. It really is going off that area. Have a look at the latest regulatory frameworks. NIST, for example, or MITRE ATT publish their frameworks. It's something that's free. It's available. It's quite wordy. It depends on what your technical understanding of frameworks is. Again, it's not purely technical focused, but it's about knowing the business to a certain degree or the industry. What I would say is look at the latest framework, go onto NIST website, download the latest report. Again, it's just recently been updated as of April. Look at the recent report, follow through, kind of go into it. Talk with risky individuals. Most people will go normally either on what they would call first line or second line of defense risk matrix role that sits without cybersecurity, and then they build into GRC in that particular focus. And again, reach out to GRC professionals. There's loads out there, the really influential ones within the business. Ask them what the current threats are or what the current focus on GRC is. More than likely, happily going to tell you. That I would say that's probably the best advice at this stage.
Thanks for that. I like the way you talked about the use of AI tools like the likes of ChatGPT, which will help greatly. It does help me. Sometimes I do some work. It's amazing. It's amazing tool. The way it helps with to give you redraftings. Someone asked me the other day, "Oh, I have this CV. Can you help me redraft this CV to look to match this job description?" I said, "Why are you stressing me, man? Use ChatGPT for kind of loud. Pick it up there and ask the question to ChatGPT. Can you
Yep.
redraft this for me in line with my CV?" I'm telling you, you'll be amazed. They're gonna redraft it for you. Make life
Yeah.
easy for you. Make life easy for yourself. That's what I would say. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
Another question says, can you give some free online websites where I can get free cybersecurity courses or certificates? Are there some
Absolutely.
like that?
So, yeah. So I think I kind of mentioned very, very quickly at the beginning. So ISC squared or ISC2. If you type that into Google, you'll get a website that will come up. Again, it's an
IS what?
accredited.
Let me write it down.
So ISC2.
ISC2.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So if you type that into Google, it will come up. There is a free, and it's not normally free. So absolutely get in there while you've got the opportunity. There are several entry level web cybersecurity courses that you can do. They're certified, they're accredited within the cybersecurity industry, which is fantastic, even better. And I say they're free at the moment and they're entry level. There's no pre-vetting stage. You don't have to come from a certain background in order to qualify, do it, register. You have anywhere between 30 to 180 days to complete it. It's all online. It's very well structured. It's a fantastic one to do at the moment. Other
Thank you.
websites, you can look at Cybery, so Cybray. Cybery do a host of free courses and entry-level courses. Just be very careful which ones you choose. That they like to say this is free, and you kind of get a little bit into it, and then they go, "Now you have to pay." So just have a look at the focus on there. AWS, the Amazon Web Security Services. Look at Google. Google Academy is another one that you can have a look at. They provide free summary courses as well. There's loads out there. But again, just be very aware that some will say they're free, but they're not. Do not sign up for the ones that aren't free if that's not what you want to do. There are tons, absolute tons out there. But yeah, so
Right.
yeah.
Oluwaseun is asking how easy it is to pivot a career in cybersecurity from finance, for instance.
Yeah. So one of the key things I always say is if you're working in the finance industry already, likelihood is you're probably working in a large organization. Talk to the teams internally. That's your first point of call. So there are options to cross skill within certain organizations and they will support you in that. That's probably the easiest solution. The second one is start to pick up the skill set, start to talk to people within the industry that perhaps have moved from finance to do that. Very easy to find on LinkedIn. You know, look at cybersecurity professionals that have come from a finance background, see the transition and stages they've moved through to. Again, there's no one size fits all when it comes to transition and how you kind of get into that part. Finance gives you a host of skills. There is a massive want for cybersecurity professionals in the finance sector. So you're already ticking 50% of the box for having exposure within the industry. It's just getting the cybersecurity part. And most finance companies generally will take on more junior level roles. Look at your larger businesses, look at your larger banks, your tier ones out there. But again, look at your entry level roles. It may be that you might be mid to senior tier within finance, looking to get into cyber. What I would say is just be aware that you might have to go down a level to come back up again. So just bear that in mind. Because some people, you know, oh, I don't want to drop a level. You might have to realistically to cross-reference into a different skill set.
There's some similar questions here, which you just answered now. Someone asking, is it as an incident manager, that's a he with that background, service background, how can you transit into cybersecurity? I think it's similar to what you just answered. And there's someone asking as well, Dari is asking, is there a place for someone who has a master's in data management in information technology, transition to cybersecurity? I think it's similar to what you just addressed as well, so I don't repeat similar questions. Then
sorry, John, my question is a bit different. So I'm already into incident management, so I want to transit into SOC particularly. So I need some advice there.
So you're in incident management at the moment and you're looking to get into a SOC role? Okay. So are you in an organization that has a SOC or is it outsourced?
Yes. We have an in-house SOC,
Okay. And have you spoken to anyone in the SOC team yet?
I have done. I've done that, yeah.
Okay. What have they said? Have they given any advice?
The usual, Sec Plus. That's the first step. So I'm working on that at the moment. So apart from that, is there any other thing I should be doing?
No, I mean, I think bang on. So firstly, you know, you've done the right thing. Ask the people within the industry, within the sector already. Secondly, the Sec Plus is probably going to be your best entry level, to be fair, to get into. Once you're certified within that, then start to look at industries and businesses that have a SOC function. You might actually even find, and I find it even more these days, an incident response team that has a SOC connection that sit within a SOC function itself. To look for opportunities that have that, because what you might end up doing is moving into a business as an incident responder, but because you're within a SOC function or connected to it, then you've got the cross-service skills to kind of get into that part as well. So a few options, but the Sec Plus is probably going to be your best bet. Get that done, get that out of the way, use that, and then say, hey, look, I've got that now. Look, let's jump in. If you're in a business that's got a SOC, ask to spend a day there. Try and speak to your manager. Try and get a bit of exposure. That I would say is probably the best experience, because then you're getting work experience within the SOC function itself.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Dean. Yeah.
I have a book who is asking, recently relocated to the UK, and it's been challenging to secure jobs in areas of operational risk and business continuity. Recruiters usually refer to a case of not having UK experience as a requirement, which I do not have. Can you guide me on how to navigate this challenge?
Yeah, a huge kind of problem. I think, you know, that the business needs to solve within the UK, because most people say, yeah, you've got experience, but it's not UK relevant. What I would say is that that's not always the case for roles. The last 7 people I've placed within both SOC and incident response have all come from Africa with African experience. So it's certainly by no means UK centric. What you'll find is recruiters that normally come back on those kind of details are the ones that just want the quick wins, that aren't willing to kind of perhaps push your profile as much as they should do. They are obviously always guided by the businesses and the companies that are advertising the roles. It's always a tricky one. What I would say to you, that's not the case across the board. Look at businesses, perhaps more the startup environment that are looking to bring people in that space. Think about the cross-referencing skills from perhaps business continuity or operational risk that you've already got that can apply to the UK industry. Certainly, I would probably say stay out of the professional services area. So anywhere between insurance, law and finance, that's probably going to be where you're going to see most of it. look at more of your tech startups, look at more of your software houses. You won't come across that problem if you go down that route.
Thanks for that, Dean. We have a group called LikeMinds who are just sponsoring this, who are responsible for this webinar. And one of the things we do is to help people who are just relocated to the UK, and in terms of helping them to navigate their way through this challenge in getting that first break in the UK. And so, we could touch base with me. We're happy to discuss even further. One of the things I've seen in looking at people's CV is, like I mentioned, you don't put in the information around how the way CV was done in Nigeria, not the same way it's done, or in Ghana, in Africa. It cannot be the same doing it in the UK. You try to avoid things that will lead to your CV being put aside or being having biased against. I try to avoid people look at CV. Oh, where did you work? You have the full address, including the country and all that. Avoid all that. Strip it as much as I can. Put the name of the company. Let your CV just be given and its merit. I'm happy if I'll put my details down. We could have further chat. So your CV needs to be done properly well. One thing I need to encourage you to do is keep yourself updated in trends in the UK. You want to go to a particular area. How is it obtainable in the UK? What are the things I need to know? So there's no point applying for something, just upskilling yourself. Whatever you need to do to upskill yourself, those happen within the UK is very, very important. So when you do an interview, despite the fact your career, your previous background is being in a different country, but for the fact that you keep yourself updated with regulatory trends, very contemporary information relating to your type of role in the UK, you're not going to have any problem getting a job. Right. So someone asks, I'll make it quick. Can someone with CISA certification practice as cybersecurity expert? Can someone with CISA certification practice as a cybersecurity expert?
Absolutely. So CISA is a great place to start, more within security, within a function. You've already started on that journey. Utilize it, promote it, put it at the top of your profile. A lot of people might want to say, well, actually, have you looked into doing your CISP, so CISSP, that's or CISM, a CISM? Normally, your next transition from a CISA, look for roles that will include CISA as your key example. Then say to them, look, I really want to do my CISM, I want to do my CISP, I want to get into a governing body that allows me to do that. The likelihood is because you started on that transition and with a CISA certification, you've already you started on that journey. You've got experience normally within that remit in order to get that certification. Absolutely utilize that and kind of get the ball rolling. It is one of those ones. It is more kind of the entry level, so to speak. But again, you're one step up above many others. Just be conscious of kind of what they're looking for. And look at job descriptions will say CISM preferred. Brilliant. It's preferred. It's not an essential. If it's an essential, then obviously it mitigates. But talk about how you want to do that. And actually, if you come on board with the company, then is that something they can help you with and sponsor you in order to do it?
We talked about age, right? So someone is putting you on the spot now, Dean. He said age is not a barrier. I'm 16 years old. So this person 16 years old, and she's having some challenge in terms of favor is asking this question now. Is that, because of my age, people don't give me a job. So how do you advise someone that's 16 years old?
Exactly. So you're right. No, and you're exactly right. 16 in the UK is one of those odd ages that you can work, but actually there's a lot of governance that sits around it. Within cybersecurity generally, and I'll be quite open and honest, 18 onwards is where you would need to be because of the regulatory requirements that sit within the business.
That's correct. Yeah. So I think at that time, you're still 16, you're still more in I think you're looking at your A levels or something. So you're still very young at that stage.
Sometimes I heard you talking about cybersecurity.
Hello. Sorry.
Have you been reading anything about it?
Sorry.
Do you want to do cybersecurity?
Sorry. Let me mute that conversation. Sorry about that. So another question is from Jude. He said, I will be graduating in Masters in Cybersecurity in about 2 months' time. What would you advise me to do immediately to penetrate into cybersecurity job market quickly?
So great question. One I get asked a lot. So several avenues. go and reach out and register your information on the big four consultancies in the UK. The big four: PwC, KPMG, Deloitte, and EY. Yeah, Ernst Young. They're your biggest employers from a graduate scheme within the UK, and the most likely to employ someone that's just coming from a cybersecurity degree. You have to register on their website. Go on their website. Go and register now. Don't wait until you finished. Absolutely register now for the next stage, because what they'll do is they'll accumulate their graduate scheme. As soon as you graduate, that's when they start the process. Go after it straight away. Also, what I would recommend.
I think he's going for a master's degree. I think he just finished a master's rather than
okay. Yeah. So with a master's degree, even more so, it still applies. Absolutely, still applies on that side. By definition, they would see you as a master's postgraduate degree on that part. So just make sure that when you're entering your details that you talk about doing your master's as opposed to your BA honours degree. Also, I would certainly reach out to ASACA, the ISACA, ASACA accrediting board that assist and support those who have finished degrees and cyber master's degrees that are getting into the business. If you're a postgraduate, be it master's, be it degree, they don't charge you for the first year. You're not charged for the first year to join and be part of ASACA. They're part of the largest organisation now in the UK and accrediting body that get people into roles and facilitate and provide you the support in order to do that. So speak with them. Also speak with IASME, the IASME. IASME now, as mentioned earlier, work with the National Cybersecurity Centre. There's a big project they're doing with the National Cybersecurity Centre at the moment in order to get people in. The other one is the NCSC, the National Cybersecurity Centre, part of GCHQ, the whole James Bond world. But they are also very much focused on people, graduates from both degrees as well as masters, to get people into the industry as well. There's a lot of projects going on at the moment for people at that level. The sooner you register with them, as soon as you go on their website, look at all the resources available, and there's lots with the NFTC. Go on there, register, and get your details on there. That would be my first piece of advice, because if you do it now, you're 2 months ahead before graduating. If you wait till you graduate, even on a master's degree, likelihood is you'll miss the opportunity, and you end up spending another year basically looking for stuff until you get back on those schemes again.
Yeah, thanks for that. Someone is asking, he has a PhD. He has a PhD holder, and also he has a PhD in computer science, really, and former academic space. Is looking to make a transition into cybersecurity, and just want to find out around that area.
Yeah, so if you've got a PhD, you would, I'm sure, publish papers. I'm sure you'd be someone what I would agree is very intellectual in order to do your PhD. The great way that you can get into cybersecurity from that is within security research. So security researchers normally and generally come from a computer engineering degree or computer information side. There's very rare, most security engineers or security researchers come from a cybersecurity PhD background. So look at research roles. If you type into Google vacancies, if you type in on LinkedIn, you'll find security researchers and what they require is an equivalent degree or PhD within these areas. So regardless what your PhD is in, it's something you can transition to easily. It's something that is very much a skill set that people, companies are looking for. There's always a requirement within that area. So yeah, type in security researcher, look for PhD requirements. You'll find there's plenty of opportunities out there as well.
Yeah, Foma is asking if we could just pin some of those names you shared in the forum. You talked about that help graduates in terms of cybersecurity. I think about FATCA and ISME also. And if you could pin them in the chat, or you could send them to me on, I think that would be helpful too.
So if I just ping them on the chat now, just
I think that would be easy. Yeah, that would be great. So the same question with Itori is asking the same question in terms of organization that help with cybersecurity graduates. Itori Loye is asking the same question as well. So she wants to know that. Recording will be available. Thanks, Dean. So I can see the names here. So take note of those names. Point those names on the chat. I think have a look at those names. And any also, I think we could let me see if any other question. I think we've exhausted the question. So thank you. So asking, will the recording be available? Yes, it will be available, and I will share the recording. Greg, I will share the recordings once we've done the whole setting. So thank you. I want to say thanks to everyone for taking time to join in today's. Also stay. We peaked at 84 at some point. I think we still have up to 74 in the forum up to now. It's not really easy to get this number, so I think it's quite a good one in terms of how you've been able to get people's attention to remain in the forum. And I think it was a very engaging conversation. Initially, I thought this webinar is put together by LikeMinds. We are African professionals in diaspora. We help people with manpower development with no charge at all. We've had lots of countless testimonies. It's more of like a giving back initiative, and it's something we've been doing for the past 15 years actually. So I've shared a link to our LinkedIn page. Feel free to join our LinkedIn page. Also, we have a functional website. Feel free to have a look at our website. I shared it on the chat as well. LikeMindsUK.com. Feel free to connect with us. If you want to be part of LikeMinds, feel free to send us a message. If you want a copy of the presentation, feel free to send us an email. I'll put the email on the chat as well. I could send a copy. We also have a YouTube channel where most of our webinars are stored at our warehouse. You can have a look at other webinars we've done over the years. I think that would be very beneficial to you as well. So anyone that wants to join LikeMinds, we have a functional forum over on WhatsApp where we have regular dialogue and conversations. I think it's going to be quite engaging. So I think that's most of us. So feel free to touch base with us. You have my details there. If you look at our website, if you contact me through the website, I'm happy to respond to you. And if you have any questions, even on CV revamping, or you're new to the UK, you're struggling between jobs, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to come on board to help you out in that space, and hopefully you get your first job in the UK. Dean, it's a pleasure once again, and an excellent session. Thank you for joining, and thank you for your time. John says thanks for your time. Sofoko says excellent presentation. Thanks. Ben says thank you so much. There's so much thanks on the forum on the chat. So thank you, Ben, and let's connect again. And thank you so much. If you can also reach out to Dean, on
Absolutely.
LinkedIn.
Yep.
I think they recruit for cybersecurity as well. So feel free to connect with him. I think when the opportunity, it's one thing that I tell clients about linking up with agents. Agents look for jobs for you, and when they get jobs, they don't necessarily put it out there. Only when they don't get clients within their brief, then they put it out there. But if they have clients already that meet that brief, they don't do that. They tend to select a few. So instead of having hundreds of people applying for a job, you're going to send your CV just 5 or 6 people. So you have a better chance of getting a job through an agent than applying just randomly. So I will really, really encourage you, link up with Dean and other agents as well. Dean talked about use of LinkedIn. I cannot overemphasize that. I'm talking to so many people today who just came to UK. Most people in Africa, LinkedIn is not like a big deal. I said, but if you're in the UK, LinkedIn is a huge deal in the UK. And that's where a lot of people are recruiting for. So today, I still get calls from recruiter from LinkedIn. And my last 2 jobs I got were through LinkedIn. So you can't just help it. You must have a very robust LinkedIn profile. Reach out to me if I can send you some tips how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. That will help you to put your LinkedIn profile in a very, very solid footing. Look for agents, search for agents, type in agents on cybersecurity or recruiting agents. You will see several. Connect with them, like Dean said. Connect with them. Share your CV with them. Share what you want to do with them. And when they get something, they're going to contact you. These are the simple tips you need to do, and getting a job won't be as difficult as it is. Thank you once again, and have a good evening, everyone. And we should catch up again in the next webinar.
Yep. Nice to be everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, you once again. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye bye now, everyone. Bye bye.